So I'm just checking the inventory here, and it looks like I just pulled this out of the box, and it looks like this compartment is open and one of these bolts is missing. I'm hoping that when I take everything out of the box that it turns up in there. Not a huge deal to get a bolt if I need one, but I just thought I'd mention it. As I'm unpacking here, I'm noticing these are really nice heavy duty parts. This is not thin, cheap metal. And I recovered one washer out of the box so far. We'll see if that missing bolt turns up yet. Got a lot of stuff to unpack. Everything's unpacked, and I did find that bolt that fell out of the package, and probably all the washers. I haven't counted them, but close enough. Everything looks really high quality, well packaged. To get to putting this thing together, I wouldn't even dream of using this wrench right here. I'm going to get a wrench the right size and a socket on my little impact and go to it. Instructions look really straightforward, pretty easy here. These are 5/8 bolts and nuts, or 16 millimeter will work if that's all you have is metric. I highly recommend using a wrench and maybe a little impact socket or something if you have one. I'll put links to both in the description. I'm going to go ahead and start putting this together, and I'll stop and take a little video along the way at different steps. Step 1's done. Moving on to step 2. Step 2 is complete. Elapsed time was maybe, 5 minutes. Super easy to put together so far. Moving on. So it's nice to have somebody else just to hold this for a second when you're doing these ends on the top, because there's a lot of moving pieces. You got this piece sitting there. You've got this piece. You got to get a bolt through without the other end falling and whatnot. I have to tighten these up quick, which, as you've seen earlier in the video, takes like 2 seconds each with the impact and the wrench. But you'll notice that there's 8 75 millimeter bolts. They're just a hair longer than the ones that you used on the bottom, and it's for a reason, because they have to go through another thickness of steel. So those go in the top 8 bolts. And I could have turned the pull-up bar over. I bought this rack just purposely, for one, because of the price, but for number 2, because the measurements that it would fit, in my basement ceiling here, and it does, by probably an inch to spare, and that's about what I figured. I could turn this pull-up bar over and give myself a little bit more clearance to the ceiling, but it's not enough clearance to do pull-ups down here anyways, which is no fault of this rack. And the way it is right now, I can still get my hands around it without interfering with the ceiling too much. So I'm going to leave it like this, and I can do like hanging exercises, ab work and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it up and it's done. Seems like a nice rack. Sturdy. We'll get the bars through it and I'll show you it all done with the weight sitting on it. So the assembled the fully assembled height is about, it's a little under 82 and a half. 82 and 3/8. And there's my Olympic bar sitting on the rests on the back. Seems like a pretty decent rack. These are solid steel, solid bars. Catch bars are. And these have little clips in the back of them that push through. So all in all, looks pretty good so far.